Thank you for joining us again this week on Strange Pathways. I am your host, Scott Mort. I hope you've had a great week. It's been a mixed bag. I'm sure you can hear in my voice, I've got a little bit of a cold. Boy, my wife, though, Ariana, she really got hit hard by it. As much as she didn't want to. She ended up taking a day off work at her new job. Thankfully, they were super cool about it. But last Sunday, after I recorded, Ariana and I headed over to the local Masonic temple. We got to see a lecture by the one and only Stan Gordon, Pennsylvania UFO, Bigfoot, high strangeness researcher extraordinaire. Stan Gordon gave a wonderful 2-hour lecture. Masonic temple, your chairs are very uncomfortable. And that room was very, very cold. But other than that, it was great. Ended up purchasing a copy of his book. Let me see here. I've got it right here. I'm facing away from the mic. This is bad radio. Ended up getting a copy of his book. Not the new one, but the old one of his older books, Silent Invasion. And Stan, he was nice enough to sign it. He said he wrote down, Scott and Ariana, keep your eyes on the sky, Stan Gordon. Man, I'm starstruck. Like, honestly, if you could tell me you can meet the president or you can meet Stan Gordon, I would take Stan Gordon. Now, that's not a knock on the president. I would say that about any president, with the exception of Teddy Roosevelt. I'd want to meet him. Our first tale takes us to Nevada, 1988. The witness is about 10 years old. He's going to a summer camp in Nevada, of course. It's this wonderful, beautiful camp. It's in this open canyon. And as you climb up in elevation, the canyon kind of narrows. There's this cute little creek that runs through it down from the mountains. And in this campsite, there's an old square log cabin. It's got this big, sturdy stone fireplace. All the tents are being set up in the clearing between that creek and the cabin. And their campfire site is located underneath this just giant boulder. At that boulder, that's where the start of the trail is. And that trail leads up to the southern ridge of the canyon. Almost instantly, it goes bad. They're not even there an entire 24 hours. During the first night, one of the boys is just absolutely screaming his head off. It's the middle of the night. He wakes up. And he's being dragged out of his tent, still in the sleeping bag. His screams alert the 19-year-old camp leader. And this camp leader comes running out of the cabin. He's got his flashlight, but there's nothing there. Really, if you think about it, that's very close to a case that I'm sure all of you are pretty familiar with. The Albert Osman case, a gentleman who was kidnapped by a family of Bigfoot. On the second night, there's this thing that's on 2 legs. The witness startles this thing. This creature just paws, and it looks straight at the witness just for a moment, and then retreats back into the brush. This was very much like, I've only had 2 Bigfoot sightings, but it's very much like my first Bigfoot sighting, where he says it happened so quick that he didn't believe what he saw. Same situation with me. The first one that I saw, if I would tell you that I saw it for an entire second, I'd be lying. It was very, very quick. The witness, though, is absolutely terrified. He can't get to sleep. Something's out there. And even worse, he's hearing it move around in the woods, checking out the camp. He gets this weird feeling that this creature is just angry as sin because they're there. The witness doesn't fall asleep until daybreak. And he's dragging through the day. He only gets a few hours of sleep. The camp leader is a woman in her 50s named Betty. And as he's getting his lunch ready, the boys' youth leader, Billy, they're, of course, leading him. Billy's girlfriend, Sally, is the girls' group leader. And they're, all three of them, Betty, Billy, Sally, they're going to lead these kids on a hike up the mountain. There's this weird, lingering fog just up the creek. It's a bright, sunny day. The heat from the sunlight should be burning this fog off, but there's this very odd, very strange, lingering fog. The witness is holding up the hike. He's tired. He's dragging. He was even holding them up going because he was the last one to get his things ready. But they finally get up on that trail on the southern ridge, and they get to that boulder. The witness rounds the boulder, and he sees Billy and Sally standing in a bend at the trail. They're just beyond him, on his right, about 25 yards. The rest of the group is out of sight, though. They've gone with Betty. That's when they all hear the scream. It's on the trail to the left of Billy and Sally. A red-haired male giant, 8 or 9 feet tall, is staring down at them. Sally screams. Billy just collapses to the ground. The thing screams again. It's drowning out the screams of the kids who had gone before them. They're afraid. The witness is frozen in fear. The giant turns and looks at the witness and leaves out what the witness calls an indescribable, evil, insane laugh. And then he grabs the witness in one hand. He's running with the witness up the mountain. And that's whenever the witness passes out in fear. When the witness comes to, he's still being held by this giant. But he's in a cave. And the witness is thinking that he's a meal. But this giant ends up pulling out this thing wrapped in animal skins. And he unwraps it, and it's a round stone about the size of a cantaloupe, and it's got petroglyph carvings in it. The witness is confused and just thinks, oh, I'm going to get my head bashed in. Passes out again. Whenever the witness comes to a second time, it's dark. They're moving. And now this thing is telepathically speaking to him. Which happens, I didn't realize this. I guess I should have. It apparently happens a lot. The lecture I went to last week with Stan Gordon, I was surprised by how many people actually said, "Oh, this thing telepathically spoke to me." Nothing this creature is saying makes sense. He stops, gets into the creek. This creek, there's a little divot in it, like a pool. And it's hip deep on the witness. Now the giant, the Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, the Nephilim, whatever you want to call this thing, he pulls out the stone and sets it into the creek with his hands underneath of it. He's not placing it in the creek. He's just there making it wet. And he starts to make this very deep, very low, resonating noise. And the stone starts to float. And in the witness's mind, he understands something that this thing is telling him. This thing wants to know if the witness can make the stone float too. And he wants to know if he knows why it's floating. The witness says, "I don't know why." Try. And he tries, but he can't. He can't make the stone float. And then there's just more weird gibberish. And he knows that this giant is going insane. The witness is frozen from the cold. And this creature begins questioning him. So he tells him about his family. "I'm the oldest of 4 boys. My mother, my brothers need me. I'm going to be missed. I'm going to be searched for. I need to get back." And every time that he says, "I need to get back," the beast changes the subject. He doesn't want the witness to leave. He's getting upset over it. But then God comes up in the conversation. He tells this creature, "I believe in Jesus." And the creature becomes more upset, but very, very somber. And then the witness doesn't know why. He asks the Bigfoot if he's Cain. And the Bigfoot becomes very angry, starts wrapping the stone back up, and screams, "I'm not Cain!" He doesn't believe him. But then the creature says a name. And as soon as it's in the witness's brain, it's gone. And at this point, the witness sees an angel standing. As the giant picks him back up and starts down the mountain, he sees an angel. Now, whether it's, the human type angels or the biblically accurate 5,000 eyes, 17 pairs of wings, 3 heads, I don't know. But he just says an angel. He picks him up, starts down the mountain. He gets down to that boulder, that giant boulder that marks the beginning of the trail, and just sets the witness down. The sun is just breaking over the mountain. And he yells out to the campfire. Billy and Sally saw him, heard him, and they came running. Billy is crying, just uncontrollably. Both of them were hysterical, happy. Billy kept apologizing. And once again, the witness's consciousness is not staying. He passes out. And then comes to screaming. He thinks that he's back in the cave, but it's actually him looking at that stone fireplace in the main cabin. Betty's with him, and Betty's got a lot of questions. And all the answers the witness is giving are too unbelievable. The entire group stays inside that main cabin that night. The giant returns. All of those that didn't see it, everybody witnesses it now. This giant screams, roars, shakes the grounds, beats the walls of the cabin, screamed threats telepathically, calling the witness a cheat. This thing raged at them until dawn. And inside, they're praying. Betty waits until they didn't hear any more screams. And then she sends Billy for the vehicle. And they leave. The witness is really hoping that Betty or Billy or Sally hears this story so that they can come forward and tell their side of it. So if you're Betty, if you're Billy, if you're Sally, please reach out to me. The email is strangepathwaysmail@gmail.com, or reach out to the originator of this story, the facts, by howtohunt.com. I'll link you to the video that I got this story from on my Facebook page. One of the most amazing pieces of UFO footage that I've seen recently is what's being called the Metapod video. It's such a clear piece of footage. It's absolutely incredible. It's incredible to the point that whenever I first saw it, I thought it to be fake. Once again, head on over to the Facebook page. I'll link the video, the Metapod video, up there. But for those who have no interest or don't have the time to look at it, it's this tan, kind of kidney-shaped object. It's got this weird little divot in the front, and it almost seems as if it's covered with a piece of glass. It's spinning and spinning and spinning. It's up in the sky. It's very, very clear. And there are moments in the Metapod video where as it turns, you see a gray, the classic gray alien piloting the vehicle. I'm not going to say very clearly, but boy, there's something there. There is something there. And the stabilized version, it's so clear. It's so clear. There's a gentleman on Reddit user Gatadat. He's found 2 more of the Metapod craft. The one is from a plane, and instead of the Metapod being up on its end, now it's like down and flying in an aerodynamic fashion. But the second one blew my mind. Gatadat was able to pretty consistently prove, in my mind at least, that the Metapod craft is, I don't think it's the same craft, maybe it is, but it's at least the same type of craft that was shown in the gimbal video. Now, the gimbal video, you've seen it. Every time that they talk about the Pentagon saying that, yes, UFOs exist, the government finally has come out and said, yes, this is a real phenomenon. No, we don't know what they are, but they exist and we're concerned about it. They show you one of two videos or one of two pictures. They show you the Tic Tac video or they show you the gimbal video. And now a whole bunch of you are going, oh yeah, okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. This Metapod craft is showing up all over the world. And I've got to say, pretty consistent, pretty amazing research on Gadadat's part. I'm going to link Gadadat's Reddit post. I'm also going to link his video and the original Metapod video over on the Strange Pathways Facebook page. Let me know what you think. Comment on that. I'd be curious to see what you listeners think of Gadadat's analysis. Our last tale comes to us from Reddit user, I love this name, You're Doing Great, Sweaty. And like the other cases, I'm going to link this up on the Strange Pathways Facebook page. Whenever you're doing great, Sweaty, I'm just assuming this is a man. But could be a woman, non-gender, what have you. But for the sake of the story, we're going to go with male. Whenever he was younger, his parents used to go on vacation with them in the summertime, and one year they went to Martha's Vineyard. You're Doing Great, Sweaty lives up to their username. They were an extremely active child, and still active as an adult. Can't sit still. And the parents encouraged this. Explore, walk, hike. And he loved exploring. They went to the beach at Martha's Vineyard. You're Doing Great, Sweaty believes this is Menemsha Hills Beach. And there's these really tall rocks at the end of the crowded part of the beach. All the kids would go there, jump off the rock into the sand. And for an active 8-year-old boy, he is a boy, this is just heaven. I don't know why I lost that in my notes. I wrote that down and completely forgot it. It's been that kind of week. I'm sure you can hear in my voice, still fighting off a cold. As I sniff. After an hour or so, you can only jump off a rock into the sand so many times. I miss having knees that were able to do that. After an hour or so, You're Doing Great, Sweaty decides it's time to explore. And he walks past the tall rocks and he's exploring the beach side. He goes a little bit further up and actually walks for around a half a mile. He climbs up the sand dunes. They're about 75, maybe 100 feet tall. And he wants to get like a higher vantage point. He wants to be able to see his family. He thought it was going to be cool to like just kind of, look where I'm at, Mom! He gets up there, and there's these bushes and shrubs and brush. And he gets up there, and he sees an opening in the brush. It looks like somebody has cut a hole out of the bushes. It's symmetrical. It looks like it's been done by a machine. It's like a perfectly round circle. Oh, as an 8-year-old boy, this might be a path somewhere. This is a secret entrance. And You're Doing Great Sweaty crawls into the tunnel. It was about chest high for him, so he had to kind of like squat down and slowly crouch. And then the tunnel turns into a slide. It's about 40 or 50 feet below. And it's kind of like this cutout chamber. Now, it's a man-made clearing. It's surrounded by greenery on all sides, including the top. You're Doing Great Sweaty says, picture someone had created a home in the middle of a giant bush. That's what it looks like. And he's in this chamber. And You're Doing Great Sweaty starts to look around. And he can hear voices. Now, he thinks he's stumbled onto some kind of cool secret fort. He was excited. He said he wanted to see the king of the fort. That's what he has in his mind. I want to go visit the king of the fort. As You're Doing Great Sweaty goes down this other tunnel-like clearing, he gets closer to the end of this, and he can see through the branches. And there are adults sitting around this campfire. But the fire isn't really fire. It's this white, yellow, orange light in the center of this chamber. At this point, he's really scared. He's got this feeling, no one's ever going to find me again. And who are these people? Who are these adults in this beach forest? And that's whenever the flight response kicks in. He gasps, and the people are alerted to his presence. One of them begins running towards him, holding a spear. And he's wearing what can only be described as like a ceremonial headdress. It's stereotypically Native American. And he flees. He's sprinting back up through the second tunnel. He's cutting himself to shreds on the branches. He gets to the top of the dune, and he can see the beach. He sees this older couple taking a walk, screaming for their help. He's about still, remember, these dunes are 75, 100 feet tall. And he's sprinting down them. This person, he thinks this person is chasing them. He gets down to the couple on the beach, and there was no one behind him. He has cuts all over his chest from running through the bushes. He doesn't know what to say. He's scared. He can't find the words. So he tells them, he got lost, I got scared, I started running. Please help me find my parents. He thought that he was gone for maybe 30 minutes maximum. But really, he said it feels more like 5 to 10, but 30 minutes was pushing it. He was actually gone 2 to 3 hours. He tells his parents this story. And they just, you're attention seeking. You're just trying to get out of this. It's been around 20 years since this happened. You're Doing Great Sweaty's been back to Martha's Vineyard a few times, but he's never been able to find that tunnel. And are we really surprised? This tale, it honestly kind of reminded me of the Ong's Hat story. Now it has come out, supposedly, that Ong's Hat was a story made up by Matheny. It's an alternative reality game, one of the first ones. And I'll be honest, I'm one of the ones, I wanted Ong's Hat to be true. I mean, it is the ultimate act of defiance to a society. And let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, society is really, really bad right now. We're at the brink of nuclear war. The bills, people are having trouble. People are having trouble just making it from one day to the next monetarily. People are not paid the fair wage for their work. And the bills, they just keep adding up and adding up and adding up. I'm sure most of you feel it. I know I do. But Ong's hat, every time things get a little tough for me, I do like listening to the Ong's hat story. Look for the incunabula and the Garden of Truth. I've got so much stuff to link up on my Facebook page. But to me, I think the joy of listening to Ong's hat is the thought of being able to escape this reality to a new one. The ultimate act of defiance, removing yourself from society without committing suicide. And this has that feel. That if we just find the right spot on a hike, or if we just remove ourselves and walk down the right path of that old mall, if we just think the right things, make the right moves, maybe we can clip through to another reality. But the question is, are you going to that wonderful forest world with abundant wild food and no other humans around to bother you? Or are you going to the world where wild men with spears murder you for just being? Thank you for joining us again this week on Strange Pathways. Head over to our Twitter, Pathways Strange. While you're at it, hey, go over to our TikTok and our Instagram. Both of those are Strange Pathways Podcast. Facebook page, we're going to have links to a ton of the stuff we talked to about this week. If you'd like to email me, you can do so at strangepathwaysmail@gmail.com. Be sure to head on over to our YouTube, click like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Once again, thank you so much for joining us this week. Take care of yourselves and each other.